Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Grand Football Weekly. This is the Champions League, the European football edition, where we'll quickly look at all the games from the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Europa Conference League quickly. Yes, so we'll start with the Champions League. Games in Europe are back again, back again, and it started off with a bang. There's some interesting games where we'll just touch on all of them and then pick out on a few and talk about them. So in Group H, which started us off, Shakhtar Donetsk played FC Porto and ended up 3-1 winners in that game. Porto winning 3-1 away from home. That's a good result for Porto because, in that group, you would imagine second place should be between either them or Shakhtar Donetsk. Barcelona should be winning the group. And speaking of Barcelona, Barcelona winning their own game comfortably against Royal Antwerp, winning 5-0. I think that's the biggest result of the weekend of the Champions League games, 5-0. Yeah, and Barcelona got 5 goals against Royal Antwerp. So Shakhtar Donetsk, would be thinking to themselves, what have we gotten ourselves into? Not playing well at home in our first game. So now they're on the back foot. They're now chasing, results to try and catch up because as it stands now, Porto and Barcelona have the edge, and we'll see how it goes for Group H as the season goes along. Then we move to Group G. Man City beats Red Star Belgrade 3-1. Good game for Man City. And similarly, RB Leipzig got a crucial away win, beating Young Boys at home with the same scoreline 3-1. So Group G has 2 winners as well, Man City and RB Leipzig registering a win in their first games. So well done to them. Good goals from Alvarez, and I think it was the defender. No, not the defender, Rodri, who got the other goal for Manchester City. So they are cruising already in that group. Then we move to Group F. Paris Saint-Germain beating Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund 2-0. Goals from, I think it was Mbappe and Hakimi. So that was a good win for them, especially in this group, which has been classed like the group of death, where Newcastle find themselves in. Well, they gave a good account of themselves because they went away to Milan and didn't come back with a loss. They didn't win, but they drew. So I'm sure they'll be happy with a draw instead of coming back with a loss. AC Milan will be the one that would not be so happy with that result because obviously you need to win your games at home, especially in this very, very tight group. So you need to be winning games, not drawing or losing at home. So yeah, AC Milan drew 0-0 with Newcastle. Then we move to Group E, Feyenoord versus Celtic. Feyenoord beating Celtic 2-0. And the other teams in the group, Lazio v Atletico Madrid, finishing 1-1. That game was very, very interesting. I've seen highlights of that game. And the keeper for Lazio, what a goal. What a goal he scored for Lazio. putting them back in the game, in the dying minutes of the game as well. Well, that's why he was up there. Otherwise, would he be doing up there any other time of the game? But he was up there and he was able to put his head to get the winner. Well, not the winner, sorry. Get the equalizer in the game. So well done to Lazio. I'm sure they would be happy not losing that game to Atletico Madrid. Then we move to Group D. Real Sociedad play Inter Milan, and Inter Milan and Real Sociedad shared the points. Real Sociedad not capitalizing on their home advantage and allowing Inter Milan to come into the game and secure a draw in that game. And the other teams in the group, Salzburg will be the happier of the two teams. Benfica versus Salzburg. RFC RB Salzburg. They went to Benfica and got a result. In fact, they played really, really well from the highlights that I see, and ended up scoring two beautiful goals and winning the game. Benfica, they lacked, total composure of the game. They didn't take control of the game. Let's just put it that way. And normally, when a team's playing at home, you expect more from them, but they didn't. So we'll see how that goes for the rest of the campaign. So Benfica losing at home. Then we go to Group C. Real Madrid left it late, and who else on the score sheet having a great season already? Jude Bellingham with the goal against FC Union Berlin. And Napoli in the other game, they made, they tried everything to try and get a winner for a long time, but it eventually came and they were able to win against Sporting Braga. So they won 2-1 away from home against Braga. That's a good game. Then you have Group B. Arsenal beating PSV Eindhoven 4-0. That's a huge win for the Arsenal, considering they have been away from the Champions League for 6 years, and coming back with that emphatic win, would give them confidence going into all the other fixtures in the Champions League. And speaking about the rest of the members in the group, Sevilla, they drew 1-1 with Lens, and Sevilla were at home, so you'd have expected Sevilla to win, because amongst all the three other players against Arsenal, Sevilla are the ones you would say, might be the hardest team to play. But they couldn't go past Lens. So you start to think, who's now the strongest, So we'll see how that pans out. So well done to Arsenal in that group. And then Group A, we have Bayern Munich versus Manchester United. That was a very, very interesting game. Onana with the mistake for the first goal for Bayern Munich. And then they went 2-0 up, and you thought, it's going to be a long day for Man United. But they did well. They got themselves back in the game the first time. They got back to they scored a goal 2-1. And Bayern went the other way and made it 3-1. They got back again, 3-2. Bayern went again, 4-2. And they got another goal, 4-3, but it was obviously too late for Bayern to score again, 5-3. But it finished 4-3. What a beautiful game, Beautiful, beautiful game. Harry Kane getting himself on the score sheet as well. Well, it was a penalty, but at least he scored the penalty, So getting themselves with a good win to start off their campaign in the Champions League. And Galatasaray versus FC Copenhagen. This game was a very, very funny game, you know. I've seen bits of it. FC Copenhagen, we outplayed by Galatasaray. Outplayed. But FC Copenhagen were doing the scoring, you know, at the beginning. So FC Copenhagen went 2-0 up. And it was looking like, wow, what's going to happen in this game? This other team's playing really well, you know, but missing all their chances. Hitting the bar, you know, keeper making some great saves. And eventually, they got themselves a goal and eventually got the equalizer as well to not end that game losing after playing so well. So that I'm sure they would take back with them and say, look, we have to finish these games off because they look like those two teams are going to be a bit of a hassle for the likes of Man United and even Bayern. I feel like one of those two teams would give Bayern a run for their money as well. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see. It's still a long way through the campaign. We'll see how they end up in that. So let's quickly look at the Europa League that also has been played. And there's quite a lot of results in that one as well. We'll quickly run through them. Olympiacos losing 3-2 to SC Freiburg. Olympiacos was at home, but they lost to SC Freiburg. And English representative in that group, West Ham United, were 3-1 winners against Baka Topola, with Petrovic with an own goal, Kudus getting his first goal for West Ham, and Sushek also on the score sheet. Ward-Prowse getting himself 2 assists in the game. And for Baka Topola, we have Stanic with the goal for Baka Topola. So good result for West Ham in that group, and they will be happy with that. In Group B, we have Ajax playing a 3-3 draw with Marseille. That must have been a very interesting game to watch. 3-3 Ajax v Marseille. And then Brighton v AEK Athens. Not good for Brighton. I'm sure they didn't start all the major players because Pedro got the 2 goals for Brighton, Yao Pedro. And we had Sidibe, Gasinovic, and Ponce getting the goals for AEK Athens. So a bad start for Brighton, but I'm sure they'll be able to pick themselves up and make sure that they remain in the competition. Otherwise, it'd be bad for them. Group C, we have Rangers v Real Betis. 1-0 winners over Real Betis. That's a good result for Rangers, getting themselves a win, you know, getting a result from the start. So good result for them. And Sparta Prague, who are the other members of the group, also got a win 3-2 against Aris Limassol. So that is a good win for Sparta Prague as well. Atalanta, they played Rako Shetowska and they won 2-0 against the team. And the other team in the group, Sporting Lisbon, winning away from home against SK Storm Graz. So good result for Sporting Lisbon and for Atalanta in Group D. In Group E, we have Liverpool going away to LASK and getting a win against LASK. They were goal behind, but they came back and they won the game 3-1. Union Saint-Gilloise drew 1-1 with Toulouse. So Liverpool have the upper hand in that group with a win and all the other 2 teams drawing. So Group F, Panathinaikos versus Villarreal. Panathinaikos winning 2-0 against Villarreal. Interesting. Rennes beating Maccabi Haifa 3-0. So good result for Rennes and Panathinaikos in the group. And then in Group G, we have Servette versus Slavia Prague. Slavia Prague going home with a win. You know, they were playing away, but they went home with the 3 points. Same as Roma versus Sheriff Tiraspol. Roma beating Sheriff away from home 2-1. So good result for them. But the biggest result I'm seeing so far is in Group H, where Bayer Leverkusen beating BK Hacken 4-0. That's the biggest result in the Europa League this week. Yeah, beating them 4-0, and Karabakh also beating Molde 1-0 to get the 3 points in that group. So Bayern Leverkusen and Karabakh with the wins. So let's quickly look at the Europa Conference League. And if we start from Group A as well, Slovan Bratislava beating KL Klaksvich. I apologize if I murder your team's name, but we are going to have a few of them in the Conference League. Yeah, so that was 2-1. Maccabi Tel Aviv in Group B beating Breidablik 3-2. And Zoria Luhansk versus KAA Ghent, finishing 1-1. And I think this might be the biggest results here because we have Dynamo Zagreb beating FC Astana 5-1 and Victoria Plzeň beating Balkani 1-0. Then in Group D, that was Group C. In Group D, Club Brugge drew 1-1 with Besiktas. And Lugano also drew 0-0 with Bodo Glimt. In Group E, Aston Villa, they couldn't win their game in the Conference League against Legia Warsaw, losing 3-2 away from home. And Zrinjski Mostar beating AZ Alkmaar 4-3. And we have Ferencvárosi TC in Group F beating FK Sukariki 3-1. And KRC Genk drawing 2-2 with Fiorentina. Eintracht Frankfurt 2-1 winners in Group G against Aberdeen. So not a good start for the Scottish team, losing 2-1 to Frankfurt. But we know Frankfurt. We know all about Frankfurt. So looks like it was a good game because 2-1's not a bad shout for a good Frankfurt team. HJK Helsinki lost at home 2-3 to PAOK Salonika. Salonika winning that one, like I said, 3-2 away from home. And then we have Fenerbahce against FC Nordsjælland, where they won 3-1. And then Ludogorets Razgrad winning their game against Sparta Trnava, winning 4-0. Interesting games in all the European competitions this week. But if we go back to the Champions League, I'll pick a few just to touch on. Good win for PSG in a very hard group. Good win for Salzburg in a group where you think they might struggle to come out of because of the likes of Sociedad, Benfica, and Inter Milan. So good win for them to start their campaign. Good draw for Lazio, considering, the way the game went. Good draw as well for Newcastle, you would say, because big, big, big game coming up against either PSG or Dortmund. So getting a draw in this game would have, served them well. Then you have the Young Boys versus RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig. Leipzig, good win. So they are on par with Man City, but don't forget what Man City was it last season, what they did to them. So they will have that at the back of their mind and say, look, we might as well get all the points we can from all the other teams. So when we meet Man City, even if we lose, we're nicking points from the other teams. So far, a very good game week 1 for the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League. So what are your thoughts on the games? What games stood out for you? The games you watched, what were the, atmosphere like if you were in the stadium? Let us know. Don't forget, you can like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and then, we'll get back to you on that. So listen, guys, that's so much we can take for today on our Champions League, European games cover. So we'll see you again. Have a lovely, lovely time. Take care. Bye for now.
Don't check this.